Welcome into the box office of popcorn and beers, where some use tomatoes and others use thumbs. We use the stuff that gets you drunk. So this week on Popcorn and Beers, it is Super Bowl Sunday, and we are recording early enough to not have a Super Bowl party to get to plan for, to cook for. Josh, what are you drinking there? What are you advertising, giving free advertising
once again,
to?
60-minute IPA. It's one of the tippy tops, bud. Happy Mardi Gras. Fat Tuesday, baby.
There you go. Anyway, we had Orion and the Dark as our butter on top for Netflix's new DreamWorks, right? DreamWorks release. And I have to say, this movie had far too many adult themes in it for it to be for children. Like, there is a whole, 3 to 5 minutes where they just talk about death? Was that, 3 to 5 minutes? It lasted a bit, right?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
That was weird. It's a kid's movie. It was
heavy.
weird for me.
Heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy for an adult
movie, but think about when we were the childrens and we watched a deer get shot in the face, when we were 3. So it's like
you don't actually see the deer get shot in the face. He goes into how he believes death is a spiraling pit of nothingness.
Yeah, sorry, I must have seen a different version of Bambi than you. I saw that deer get shot. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
turned into a canoe.
You saw the version we released in Japan. Got it. But yeah, no, there was a lot there, and then there's so much to think about. It's really odd, and it's told from so many different perspectives, and they try to shield it really well, but I don't know that they do. You've got adult him telling it, you've got child him telling it. Some of it's told from his daughter. Some of it's told, who looks eerily like the girl he's super attracted to as a kid. Weird. And it acts as if it's trying to teach you something. In reality, I couldn't figure out what theme it was going with. Is it going with light pollution, regular pollution, getting over your fears?
Yeah. Yeah, they threw a lot in there.
Yeah, don't walk through a dark alley. So much going on. They do a whole, it's a shame we have to go to a planetarium just to see the stars. And I was like, geez, all right. You're giving us a lot to think about. Thank you. Just say the world is ending and the movie's over in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It was overall perplexing. I don't think the movie had a message, really. I think it was just, hey, we don't really have a direction, but we've got a kid that we think is kind of cute on film. And the animation was poor, by the way, DreamWorks. That was poor animation. Passable in 2024 doesn't work anymore. We've got so many different...
Yeah.
We've got so many cool things. It's not 2010 or 6 or anywhere in that realm where we're really experimenting. It's 2024. We've got ways to make this better. And it just wasn't for me. Orion, the character, wasn't super likable, relatable, more annoying than anything. And the reason I say he's not relatable is because they tried to relate him to too many different factions of person. So I kind of lost it. Best character was Dark for me. I thought Dark was the best.
Oh, Seth Rogen?
Yeah, I thought Dark was the best character. You mean he was playing himself, Josh? Is that what you're trying to say? But for me, it was just a popcorn.
Wait, was that actually Seth Rogen?
Sounded like him, didn't it?
It wasn't Seth Rogen. That's why I was making fun of it. This dude's just Seth Rogen.
Who was it? Who was?
I don't know. Some guy. Brett Kogan. I don't know. I don't think it was Seth Rogen.
All right. Well, what did you think of the movie?
The movie was cookie cutter. I'm sorry. They tried to break out of the cookie cutter by obfuscating the story. I'm learning a new word. But story within a story within a story within a story. Cool. Oh, yeah. Doing that still?
Yeah.
If you want to change narrators, you want to have an unreliable narrator, that's all cool. But you can't do all those cliches all in the same movie and then say, well, no, we don't have a generic plot because, look, there's 5 stories being told. And, so, okay, whatever. The characters, nobody, even though everybody was cute, nobody was really, lovable. Dark was the coolest one.
Paul Walter Hauser played Dark, by the way.
Paul Walter Hauser.
I don't know if you know him by name, but you definitely know his face. He's Richard Jewell. Remember the actor that played Richard Jewell?
Who's
Did you
that?
ever see that? You never
What
saw
movie?
that? All right, that's Richard Jewell is the movie.
Oh, okay.
Did you ever see I, Tonya?
Uh-uh.
Okay, what about Cobra Kai? You ever watch Cobra Kai?
A little bit.
Okay, he's Stingray from Cobra Kai.
Okay. Anyway,
Did you see Cruella? Did you see Cruella?
no, I didn't see Cruella.
Jesus, do you like good movies? All right, go ahead.
No, I hate them. So this is speaking of this movie it's a popcorn. It feels like it got held back in production somehow, so it was late to the game. You know, it was trying to hit all the benchmarks that Pixar set a long time ago, but it had not the best writing. It tried to get a little bit weird with the plot, like I said before. It was pretty. I mean, it wasn't incredible. I think the way they used light and dark as a theme really helped because that's the best CG element they had. The way they would use light and dark. That was nice, but it wasn't like, holy crap. And in a year that's after all these animation giants that came out, like this is not really hitting, like you said.
Yeah.
Popcorn. I wouldn't, no, no thanks.
Yeah, well, you had some pretty incredible animation in Ninja Turtles and Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse, or not?
I mean,
across the.
I don't know if it was DreamWorks. First of all, DreamWorks, come on, dude. Like, especially knowing who DreamWorks is, like they made Anastasia, dog.
They've made a lot,
and then they dropped this.
Time.
They dropped this. Come on, like they're mostly, I think, overall pound for pound, close to being contender with Disney. In a lot of ways, they're better than Disney, depending on the film. But yeah, come on,
dude. That was a ballsy comment you made.
Well, I mean, there's some movies that came out the same year as a DreamWorks film that were perhaps better than the Disney, not counterpart, but whatever. No one's touching Aladdin, okay? Anyway,
the Lion King.
Yeah,
or 40 years of history, 50 years of history, 60 years of history, whatever.
Yeah. DreamWorks has a smaller budget, okay? Anyway,
that's for sure.
But this reminded me of another Netflix thing that came out last year, Nimona. I advertised it. That might have been DreamWorks as well, and that one was actually pretty good. Oh, it wasn't DreamWorks. It was going to be Pixar, but they cut it. So it's okay. Pixar beat you there, buddy. Nimona, watch that instead of this. That's my review.
Pixar's Toy Story, man. Pixar
Pixar's
can put
Toy Story, brother.
Yeah, Pixar's also The Incredibles. You got to be careful, man. Pixar puts out hits.
I'm not talking shit on Pixar. Stands alone. They're it.
They're the gold standard.
I think they're close. Yeah,
they're
given their track record
up there. Sony's been doing a good job with their animation. Where they lack in their live action comic book movies, I guess. Their animated comic book movies are very, very good. So they've been making up ground. Same with Warner Brothers, oddly enough.
You know who I really missed being in the game hard was DC. They had a big string of animated DC films.
Oh, you're behind, brother. You're behind on Max.
No, but the newer ones, they're using new animation styles, and I applaud them for trying and going for. I don't know. It's just not as banging as it used to be in some instances.
You know, I didn't like. There's a series on Disney Plus called Future Avengers, I want to say, and they did it like an anime style, and I just wasn't into it. But that's me. I bet you would be super into it.
Well,
I was just like, man,
not.
I can't do this. I can't.
I'm not automatically into anime. I'm not automatically in like some people are.
I've been shown some pretty wild anime by you, who is a firm member of that community, and and I'm just kind of like, all right, man, if you like this, like that's cool. I'm not gonna shit on your swagger.
That's cool, baby. But speaking of stuff that I'm looking forward to in comic, action, adventure, animation, blah blah blah, Invincible's coming soon, guys. Jeez.
March.
Are we even allowed to call it the end of season 2? This is season 3, right? Like, it's been a long time.
No, because season 2 wasn't, like, it didn't end on a note where I was super happy. I was
Well,
upset.
Of course. However, like, the gap between the beginning and end of season 2, this is season 3. Let's be real. Like, stop playing around with me.
You know why they do it like this?
It's been months.
Do you understand why shows are trying to do it like this?
Yeah, because, Amazon's reformatting their shit to make more money, first of all, but also, why?
Award season. If you split it, you can get into
yeah.
2 different award seasons. So.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, like that's what Better Call Saul did. They tried to give themselves like that's why they did a split the season in half, where like the first half aired before the first Emmys and the second half ended before the second Emmys. They were trying to win, and they never won, which is a shame. From what I understand, I never watched the show. But anyway, Josh, we had a drunk classic that is a classic to me. But you said your opinion is going to be vastly different than mine. So come on, woman. You want to see what a real man's like? Come on up to my apartment later on tonight. I'll treat you okay.
You know, have you ever noticed that song starts so hard and it goes, you know, and then the second time that comes back around, it's offbeat? You ever notice that?
Nope. Never care. Nope.
Never care?
Nope. Got too much adrenaline run through my veins by that point. I just want to punch somebody's lights out.
Okay, so there we are. That's a great place to start. We watched Rocky 3, ladies and gentlemen. I've watched bits and pieces of this when I was younger, but we're going to go ahead and say that I have not seen it. I get a half point at best. I watched it in full this time.
You and your half points.
Well, we'll be like half points around here. We're goofing off. If we have such a loosey-goosey point system for how we rate movies, we can have the same thing for... Loosey-goosey. Okay. I know I'm a minority, and I know that I should be lambasted for this. However, Eye of the Tiger never really pumped me up. Never did it for me.
But not a lot of things pump you up, Josh. You're not you don't function that way, dude. Arguments pump you up. You do not.
I just like a little I like a little John.
I like a little Busta Rhymes used to pump you up. Break your
neck. Still does, baby. I get pumped up from a different kind of genre. Some people do the metal, you know, like a little metal. I like a little metal sometimes, but Viking war drums, they get me going. So I'm already a weirdo, right?
The Ren Fair shows up with a Bluetooth speaker playing Viking drums.
I've made people listen to Viking drums while we did work. Just to give them the idea of what kind of organization they're dealing with here. Yeah. Speaking of Eye of the Tiger, little trivia. I saw the band, listened to the band in an interview, and they said once upon a time Sly called them and said, "Hey, I want you to do a song for my new Rocky movie," and it was on the message machine. And they said, that's not really Sly Stallone, that's a prank. They ignored it. 2 weeks later, Sly's like, hey, where's that song? So like, oh, crap, we got to make a song? So what they did is they worked day and night really, really hard on this wonderful song that, according to them, they sent to Sly. And then also, just for kicks, let's throw this other song in there. We made this just for fun afterwards, so workout song. The song that they worked so hard on was rejected, but Eye of the Tiger, the throwaway song they sent Sly, became the soundtrack of a generation, I guess. Anyway. Anyway, like I said, I come in at this with the wrong eye set. I'm trying to put myself in the position of the 80s and like this is a groundbreaking film, and I did that kind of. I enjoyed the film, but it's not a good film. I like Hulk Hogan Thunder Lips. That was the best you thought of. That's the. It was actually pretty awesome to see Hulk Hogan standing next to Sylvester Stallone in the ring. Like, he's a really big dude. I forgot.
Significantly bigger than Sly.
He's a big dude. Why is Paulie in this movie at all? He sucks. Why did Adrian go to Los Angeles and abandoning her child so she could live in a gym? That's not what a mother does. Anyway, why is the world champion somehow wildly non-dexterous? Like, he goes to his training session with Carl Weathers and he doesn't know how to skip. He's a champion of the world. I know what they were trying to do. They were trying to illustrate that the black man knows how to box and do a little jazz. Like, a little bit racist. Anyway, little fact about me. Right. Little fact about me. I found out when I watched Headliners Only with Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, I found out, like, for sure, Madison Square Garden is not like a gigantic amphitheater in the middle of Central Park. My whole life, I thought it was like an outdoor, not a stadium, like an amphitheater. I thought,
what?
Listen, I thought Madison Square Garden was not a regular stadium thing. I thought it was like just some open air amphitheater like the ancient Romans.
Central Park.
Yeah, and I've been to Central Park. So anyway, so this is my first time.
Park, and you're like, I wonder where this garden everybody keeps performing in is.
It's probably on the other side. Yeah, so that's just a little fact about me. And today I got to see the 70s, 80s version of it. Sly Stallone, just the human being, not Rocky, terrible runner and awful swimmer. Like, golly, he's an actor. Why didn't Apollo Creed just fight for the belt? Like, he was in better shape throughout the movie than Sly Stallone.
He didn't have the chin. He didn't have the chin. You don't listen to the words, man.
No, he didn't have the chin.
Listen to the script.
He didn't have the chin. That wouldn't be a problem if you were boxing someone who only threw hooks. I looked at the movie very closely. Not one jab, not one uppercut. Well, maybe an uppercut or two, but it was nothing but this. Haymakers. It's the way that I play Fight Night. Remember Fight Night, the game? Nothing but bah, bah, bah. That's Clubber Lang. That's the champion of the world. Speaking of the champion of the world, why did they give Clubber Lang no real story? He was just the mean man. That was his character. I'm the mean man. The movie ends with two best friends jerking off together, and that's my review. Popcorn.
It does not end. It ends with them fighting each other, and it shows one of the most famous paintings by Sylvester Stallone, like ever. In fact, he stood in front of it when he gave a tribute to the person that passed on that was the reason for me selecting this movie, which was Carl Weathers. Now, Clubber Lang's character is that person that wants everything that the haves have. He is a have-not, classic have-not. He trains in no gym. He trains with no one else around, which is weird because he does have two coaches at his ringside, but that's beside the point. He trains on ropes, and he trains on broken and ripped benches and in the streets, and he's got the eye, that hunger, eye of the tiger, right?
The eye of the tiger, yeah.
He wants what all these rich people have, and we got to get it back, okay? Now, Rocky Balboa has been sleeping in silk sheets, and Apollo's trying to convey that message to him. He got too comfortable. He got domesticated, like Mickey said. It happens to all fighters eventually.
Yep. That's true.
I do wonder, do you really have to sleep there though? I was like, he could stay at like a Hilton. Like, I don't think that's gonna throw it off too bad. But
I'm cool with Rocky doing that. But why did this terrible husband bring his wife along for the stinkiest vacation ever?
Because how would we have not had this movie made?
I'm afraid. All right, I'm afraid. Is that what
one of the most famous speeches? You know how important that was to men?
I know. And you're right.
Do you though? Because someone like you would not have had permission.
What do you mean someone like me?
So he walked so you could run, because someone like you, big, burly, would never be able to say some of the things you said without that line being said. All right?
That's true.
I'm
truly.
depressed.
Yeah. It was
a
time when that didn't happen on the big screen for sure. It's let alone real life. I will note that it's a huge milestone in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. So he ran awkwardly so that I could run awkwardly. So thank you.
It's also the juxtaposition of how you can fight like hell is freezing over when you have nothing to lose, to lose and everything to gain, versus everything to lose and nothing to gain. The juxtaposition, the heart that it takes to get up off the ground after you've been beaten down. You don't really need to do this. You don't need this. But something in your soul tells you have to press on. You've accomplished everything you really need to accomplish, but then your whole existence gets brought into question. You have to be willing to fight back. That's what the themes of the movie are. And with this, though, I mean, the funny lyric, how much you think that guy eats? About 202 pounds. And then the ring announcer weighing in at 202 pounds. And Mick gives him the old wink. Adrian, you need that speech from Talia Shire. You need that speech on the beach, because she never had that character and never had that moment, that standout moment, stand up to Rocky, letting you know, like, hey, I go through everything you go through with you. I may not be in the ring, but I'm in the ring, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. No, I
And
feel you.
he, the line you just said, he's a terrible swimmer. Apollo Creed goes, can he swim? And then Paulie goes, with a name like Rock. All right?
Yeah.
These things are addressed. Now, you also said, what is Paulie doing in this movie? Why is he even here? Well, jealousy, obviously, some comedic relief. And Josh, just so you know, he don't sweat you.
I don't sweat you. He was disgusting.
All right, so for me, it's always going to be a pop 2, if not more. The movie is one of the first movies that brought my father and I really together. Was watching movies like this together and kind of like perseverance, fight through it. Like things like this are why I am who I am, unfortunately and fortunately. Like the good and the bad come with it. Like walking around on a broken foot for a week without a boot on, yeah, that's from stuff like this. Tough it out, rub some dirt on it. But also fight for good, right? In this movie, Rocky's the good guy, whether you like it or not. Like you said, Clubber Lang plays bad guy. But
yeah,
in the times, man. In the times.
It must be recognized. It must be recognized. And, I did want to do a couple little push-ups afterwards. That's for sure. But, you know who did the Clubber Lang playing Mean Man? Yeah, I understand everything you're saying. I like that. And it did have its own agency for sure. But Jonathan Majors did that version better. He was the Mean Man with a real cool story. And
are you sure it wasn't just more current for you?
No, because there was dialogue to support it. Anyway, let's move on before I get real mad and pee my pants.
What did you like about the movie?
I did like the nostalgia of it, even though I wasn't in that movie. I was, I've seen movies of that age, and I'm sorry that I missed this when I was young. It was cool to see Hulk Hogan being so massive. There's so much about it. Like, it was a time capsule movie. Remember when New York was just a big waste bin? Like, that's... Yeah, it was cool to see Los Angeles the same way, and actors would play in movies that were not pretty. Like, the 70s, 80s were different because people just got cast in roles for being good at their part, not for being gorgeous. Looking at you, Miami Vice, or whatever. Anyway.
You didn't fall in love with Carl Weathers as Apollo Creed?
Not in this movie, no.
The charisma?
In Rocky, he's very good. I just thought, I was just so distracted by... The whole training montage didn't make a ton of sense to me because
so many montages.
I know that they were trying to emphasize, he's a big lug and all he does is go straight forward. I understand that's what they were doing, and there's no room for subtlety in a movie of this time at this era on this amount of time limit to make the movie. I get it, but they didn't give him one. Rocky was garbage the whole movie. And he's like, okay, maybe now we'll be a fighter. You're the champion of the world. Why can't you do basic exercises? You have to teach him how to use the bag? Really?
No, he was using the speed bag differently than he'd always used it. He used to only use it. He didn't use it to throw the jab. He used it to set up the big southpaw hook.
All I ever knew how to do was throw a southpaw hook. You know what I mean?
Come on.
But,
you're not so bad. You're not so bad. Hit me, champ. You're the champ, right? You're not so bad.
I was getting there. That was the part that I really did like. The way the movie ended up, where he's just, no, I know what I'm doing. I got a strategy. And, and he does it. And it was good. That part, the movie ended well, besides the homoerotic scene at the end. Anyway.
No, you're right. It was definitely more homoerotic than Electric Boogaloo when he's teaching him how to pick up girls. Anyway. All right, so let's move on to what we were watching this week. I'll go ahead and start. I got a few more than you do. I finally got to the theater to go see American Fiction, and I've been wanting to see it. I saw it over Iron Claw and over Zone of Interest. It was great. It was fantastic. It made me laugh multiple times. Just really quick, I don't think a lot of people that were in the theater in England got it, and that could be for multiple reasons that can be discussed in your own time. But essentially,
it's American.
No, that's not why. You'll get it here when I give you the quote. But so anyway, they put together this. This is not the whole point of the movie, but it does play a major role in the movie. It's definitely a trope that they're using to push the movie forward, and it's a group of writers to pick out the 10 best books of the year. And in American Fiction, Jeffrey Wright's character, and this is why he's up for Best Actor, is an established professor of the arts, writing of English, and he is a great writer, and he writes books that are thought-provoking, and they're American fiction, essentially. And instead of... He can't get it picked up now. No one's buying his book that's thoughtful, sensible, intelligently written. They want a book, like, this is the thing of, like, the stereotypical black struggle, which is not what he wants. He doesn't want his people painted in that light, okay? He's like, this does not provide a positive look at our culture. This is basically, I think they call it white people porn, is what he calls it, for the community. So he's like, no, I want to write an intelligent book and things like that, and he's going over it, and instead, he finally, through a series of events, he's forced to write a book, and he thinks it's a joke. And he, like, spells words wrong. He has the characters talking Ebonics and all this stuff. And that book gets picked up, right? And he hates it so much because his character is such an intelligent man and though so thoughtful in what he does that he hates it so much that he changes the title of the movie midway through, thinking that they're going to go with it, and they don't. And he's like, what is wrong with these? Or they go with the change of the title instead of just throwing out the idea altogether. And he's like, what the hell is going on? And do they really think so little of us is really the whole point. And so it's himself and Issa Rae, who plays another writer in the movie, she's fantastic. That's all I have to say.
Wonderful.
But it's her and Jeffrey Wright and then 3 white writers in this group. And they get to the book that he wrote under his pseudonym, or his nom de plume. And
nom de plume? Shut up, Aladdin.
He's like, he goes, I don't want to vote for this. I don't like it. And Issa Rae's like, yeah, I don't like this. I think it is a stereotype. It's not what you think it is. And the 3 white writers vote for it to be the #1 book, right? And the 2 black writers this is the way the camera's set up. There's 3 white writers on one side, 2 black writers on the other. And as they write that book in at #1 that the 2 black writers didn't want, the woman goes, look, I just think this is a time more than ever that black voices need to be heard. With no sense of irony. No sense of... And I was laughing so hard when she said... And I love the way the director pulls back the shot so you just kind of see what's going on in that room. It's like, wow, no sense of irony, no self-awareness. You just threw it out there as you ignored the 2 black voices in the room.
Beautiful.
It was fantastic. Tracy Ellis Ross is in it. Sterling K. Brown is in it. He's great as his brother who came out as gay after having a family with children, but was always afraid of the father. So once the father had passed, he came out as gay. And it's very interesting, the story behind how he gets outed as a gay man. But Sterling K. Brown definitely deserved his Best Supporting Actor nod. It was so funny. Tracy Ellis Ross tells an abortion joke, a Roe versus Wade joke that is very funny as well in the movie. And it's very subtle, but it's very well written. They're in an argument, and let me go back. There's a scene where they want him to take a sabbatical because of everything that's going sabbatical. They want him to take a sabbatical from work because of everything that's going on in his personal life, right? And he doesn't want to. And one of the other professors in the room goes, come on. In the time that it's taken you to write Echo, I've released 3 books. And Jeffrey Wright's character goes, the speed in which you write only proves that good things take time. There are some one-liners in it that are just so funny. Overall, I'm going to give it a popcorn and 2. It was definitely one of the best movies of the year. I wish I had seen it before we gave our top 3 because it might have made it. Mm-hmm. But it was so funny. It was just so funny and intelligent.
Nice.
Yeah, fantastic. So next, we got to get to Iron Claw and Zone of Interest here, but we got big butter on tops this week, so I don't know. Anyway, Josh, what was the first one you want to review?
I'll tell you one. You ever heard of a little movie called Appaloosa?
Nope.
Huh? Well, neither has most people. It's a movie. I think it's on like Freebie or Tubi or not Tubi. I don't know. It's a Western movie. Thank you. Mm-hmm. A Western that I've seen over and over. It seems like a Redbox type of title, but Ed Harris is in it, and so is Viggo Mortensen and Renee
Okay.
Zellweger. It's gotta be a decent Western, right? Let's check it out. So I checked it out, watched it with my dad, and it's one of those new sheriff in town. Let's see how it goes type of things. But then it devolves into not devolves, but it just changes into a really dry movie about I don't know, self-worth, love triangle. It has cool subtones, sub-themes, actually. But it's the new sheriff's in town. Viggo Mortensen's the second in command, loyal to the
Mm-hmm.
end, and they're just establishing themselves and getting the gangsters out. Meanwhile, a new little pretty thing comes into town, Renee Zellweger. So this is the new little pretty thing. This is my impression of Renee Zellweger. Anyway,
Cannot. We cannot do things like that in 2024, but I love that you did it.
well, I say it just because, like, she's the pretty little thing that came in town. Like, I mean, she's a beautiful woman, but like, she's not like the hot tamale coming off the train tracks. You know what I mean?
No, I love what's happening. You just did I have a black friend to Renee Zellweger. No. She's pretty enough. But like for this role,
I'm saying. I mean, she's supposed to be the hot little thing that comes off the training tracks, and everyone's like, "Ooh, who is that?" But I guess it is the Wild West, and they're in a town that's very
sexy's not one
sparse.
size
So it's
fits
like
all, Josh.
that's true too. And like I said, like in a town in the Wild West where it's very sparse, a woman coming off the train is a guarantee. Everyone's looking at her anyway, so maybe it fits. Anyway, she plays an interesting character that you don't expect. Ed Harris plays everyone plays interesting characters. What it eventually comes down to is Viggo Mortensen and his story as the right-hand man who gets those attempts of seduction, and the ending was like so whatever. It's one of those movies that's dry and you're waiting for the other foot to drop or whatever the phrase is, and it kind of drops, but you're like, that's a weird shoe. Anyway, I give it a popcorn. It was okay.
Okay, all
Ed
right. Well, I
Harris,
did We Are That. Was that last part? I talked over you.
you know, I'm sorry, Ed Harris, Viggo Mortensen. It's always nice to have like a long, like close-up shot of them just like having an expression. So there's that.
Okay. I watched The Greatest Night in Pop. It's a documentary about how they made We Are the World. Very interesting, told from the perspectives. I've seen this documentary from multiple perspectives multiple times. Not this one specifically, but you catch my drift, right? Like this has been made quite a bit. Because it's a legendary night in the pop industry, especially when they made this song. There was no technology behind it, right? And they go into that a little bit, where they had to do it during the American Music Awards because so many superstars were going to be in Los Angeles. So,
wow.
Yeah, they did We Are the World. It wasn't multiple takes like music's made now. They did it all-nighter. They just stayed there all night long. They go into how Bruce Springsteen flew in from Buffalo after his tour had just ended, and the stress there because his voice was starting to get strained. He had literally just finished a tour, and how they were afraid he wasn't going to be able to make it because there was a snowstorm in Buffalo. It's told from Cyndi Lauper's perspective, who's fantastic. They talk. So if you're not familiar with Cyndi Lauper, very extravagant, always wore a lot of jewelry and things like that. They talk about how her jewelry was messing up her mic because she had so much jewelry on it. So like her earrings and her necklaces were causing feedback from her mic while she was trying to sing. And you see her in that setting in the 80s and the footage they have, that girl could sing. Like she had lungs. And you don't really get that a lot though from her music, from her catalog. But in that moment you're like, dang.
Yeah.
And you see a lot here, like Smokey Robinson's in it a bit. It's really told from the perspective of Lionel Richie, though. Lionel Richie is talking about it because he was the guy at that time. And it does talk about how Stevie Wonder almost crashed the whole thing down by wanting them to mix some Swahili in. And they're like, yo, we've got a night to do this. We cannot be teaching all these people Swahili. And it's actually the point where Waylon Jennings, he left. He left the We Are the World. Because of that, he goes, ain't no country boy ever learned Swahili, is what they quote him as saying as he walked out.
Wow.
Yeah, they talk about Huey Lewis and how they gave him Prince's part and how he had such big shoes to fill because Prince never showed up.
That's a famous meme video. I've seen that. Everyone's seen that 1,000 times. Like Michael Jackson's face when Huey Lewis sings. It's like
They got he did pretty good though. They got Sheila
no.
E. talking about Prince and how she felt kind of betrayed, like they were just using her to get Prince. Overall, because I've seen it so many times, I give it a popcorn 1, but it was an interesting watch.
Hmm. Okay.
All
Okay.
right, what's
Okay.
next for you, sir?
Oh, keep it short and sweet. I watched Avengers 2 again. Still one of my favorite Avengers. I hold it up as one of the most just standard superhero movies because it's self-contained. It leaves some open-endedness. It requires a little bit of knowledge prior. So it's like, but this is like the first Avengers where we're a team and we're going to do the mission. And it ends that way more or less. So it's kind of a self-contained comic book film in its own right. Like, you could just not have seen any MCUs and watch this and be fine, kind of. And it showed the team being the team. It wasn't like forming the team or the team's breaking up. It's just, hey, we're a team. Let's do the team thing. And James Spader, of course, one of the greatest villains in any superhero movie. That's all I got to say. Popcorn and 2, still.
Spader's great. Spader's always great. Well, I watched The Beanie Bubble. Those of you that were alive in the era when Josh and I were in the elementaries remember the beanie craze. Beanie Babies everywhere. All the rich kids had them. All the rich kids' moms were buying them for all the rich kids. They had them in little glass cases and everything. And
I have at least one in this house.
yeah, you bought it after the bubble burst. So, so it goes into the McDonald's thing, but it really goes into what a terrible person Ty was. The creator of Beanie Babies, his name was Ty, and he was an awful human being that posed as a really good human being. But through these 3 perspectives, the 3 women talking about this person, he was awful. And he bugged all their offices at some point. And Michelle Banks plays his initial love interest, and she's laying on the ground talking to the secretary, like just pissed off at Ty for something he's done to her. Oh, he cut her salary and gave it himself most of it, and he did it without her knowledge while they were still married.
Wow.
And yeah, he was a terrible person, right? But she notices under her desk, she goes, "What the hell is that?" And it's a mic, and they proceed to play him into doing something insanely stupid. And the movie gets into how she's able to capitalize on him having mics in her office, getting him to do something dumb, and it sets her up to take total advantage of it. So I don't want to give too much away there. I gave this movie a popcorn 1. It was entertaining. I was drawn in. It talks about one of the first women, one of the first people, let me just say that, people ever in online marketing. She was a pioneer, and she worked for him, and she had a plan to make his business continue to succeed, to basically make it like Pokemon, right? And oddly enough, where she goes after she quits Beanie Babies is Pokemon. And you find that out later. Yeah, so she helps Pokemon get off the ground by what she did with the Beanie Babies. She created a craze for Beanie Babies by using people's need to be exclusive, kind of like TikTok does and Instagram does and influencers do, right? It's promoting that exclusivity that people want or want to be a part of. And she was able to do that. And all she wants, like literally all she wanted to keep his business afloat was to be named COO. She had earned it. She had made him billions of dollars. She literally made the guy that created Beanie Babies a billionaire. And he hires a man for the job she wants. And then he goes up to her and he goes, "I've got great news for you. I'm going to bump your pay up to $20 an hour." Like, one of the most insanely insulting things I could have thought of. The overall theme was he was a really bad person. There's one point which I don't know if it's true or false. I think this part was true because it does say, hey, most of this story is true, but the parts that aren't, we made up. He was engaged to a woman with 2 daughters. And the 2 daughters, alleged by this movie, really helped create the Beanie Baby craze because they kind of hinted at what they wanted in a stuffed animal and what they would love to see in their stuffed animals. And he ran with that idea. And he put her name on Spooky. And then, in a vindictive way, he had her name removed and put his name on all the Beanie Baby tags as created by him. So he took credit for a little girl's creation. But those Beanie Babies, according to the movie, became some of the most valuable Beanie Babies available. The ones that still had the tag created by Ava, as opposed to created by
Uh,
Ty. And the mother, when she left him, because she does end up leaving him because she catches him cheating on her, she had a whole box of the ones that were created by Ava, and she sold those, and she got enough money to put her kids through college, buy a house, all things like that. So we'll go with a popcorn and one. What was the last film you
nice.
saw this week?
Oh, it's gonna be another quick one, of course, because I think I've already done it at least once. But I watched Equalizer 1 again with Dad. But after having seen Equalizer 3 twice and Equalizer 2, I don't even know how many times, I got to rewatch Equalizer 3 again, or Equalizer 1 again, and it's the best one. I mean, there are better scenes, there are better parts of the other two, but
Mm-hmm.
Equalizer 1 as the establishing film is really dang good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a solid movie. It's dry, it's quick, it's violent, but he's a little bit less Punisher and a little bit more his own thing. I don't know if anyone knows, but Equalizer used to be a TV show, so this is a spoof or a spin-off of the TV show. Remake, I don't know. But Denzel is good in this movie. It's a great film. Popcorn and one.
Got it. All right, so this week for our butter on top, we're going back to the spiders. We've had quite a few spiders as butters on top. And some of you know already what I'm saying, but it's going to be Madam Web. Sorry about that. Josh got a spider web in his mouth right as I said that, just right on cue. But we are going to go with Madam Web as our butter on top this week. And then, Josh, why don't you go ahead and we'll flip-flop it. Jordan will take next week's Drunk Classic. Josh, why don't you give us the Drunk Classic for this week?
Oh boy, I have a few on my mind, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger on this one because Jordan's not here, and this is in spite of Jordan. I've
Mm-hmm.
watched this movie since this show has begun. I've watched this movie at least 4 times. I'm
Okay.
finally gonna make Jordan watch it. We're gonna see maybe the best Western ever made. I don't know, Tombstone, son.
I started writing it before you got the words out of your mouth. I was like, when you said maybe the
Yeah.
best Western, I started writing Tombstone right before you said.
Oh,
All right,
I
so
thought you
I'll be
might be
your
hungry.
Huckleberry, Josh.
I'll be your Huckleberry, Josh. Yeah, great movie. Of course, we all know this, except Jordan, because he's never watched it. So guess what you get to do, jerk?
So much heroin. All
Watch
right.
it.
That is all for us. Remember, you can reach us on Twitter at popcorn and AN beers. We have had such a great time doing this show. So thank you so much. And as always, we'll see you at the movies. You bring the popcorn and we got the beer.